things. We bring in Bart Keeler for a quick hitter this morning. Bart, things are still kind of unofficially official. Yeah, we're going in this direction, and nothing's signed. But in the, let's say, 24 hours since Mauricio Pochettino has been announced that he will be accepting, and I feel like I have to use my verbs and participles correctly here, that we anticipate that he will be the next USMNT head coach. What is the feedback that you've been getting over at Soccer for US POD? What's the vibe been like?
Well, it matches the mug this morning, and
Which
says, "Make it happen."
There you go. Okay. Engage number one.
And that's where I'm at, John, is that was the theme, it seemed like, for U.S. soccer. Probably after the first week after Berhalter was fired, when we kind of got the low-level names. No offense to Trundolo, no offense to those guys. But then the names started getting steadier and steadily more just prominent, I know the Klopp thing was out there pretty quickly. That was probably a fat chance anyway. That was just let him enjoy his.
Dude said no. Yeah. What part of give me a year do you folks not understand?
And that's fine. But ever since then, even the guys like Renard, who we talked to, Vieira, Henry, like those guys have names that carry weight beyond a decent stint in MLS. No offense even to Wilf Nancy, but you started hearing names that made you get excited. Like even Rafa Benitez was a guy who, okay, sure, maybe hasn't had a great run of form, or run of luck really with his last couple of stints, but a guy who clearly knows how to manage a team at the top level and probably could get more juice out of this orange from this team. But now that you have the opportunity, because he was unemployed, because Chelsea is a mess, and I do want people to understand that Mauricio Pochettino leaving Chelsea by what seems like true mutual consent,
yes,
is because Chelsea Football Club, and it gives me all the pleasure to say this, is in a state of disarray. But we will gladly take their coaches.
Yes.
And it's just signals that U.S. soccer, for some reason, between the hiring of Greg Berhalter for the second time and 2 weeks after they fired him, realized, we have to take 2026 extremely seriously.
What? No.
Let's go get a guy who can at least revive the excitement within the fan base, bring in possibly new eyes to go, Pochettino's coaching this team now. And that is a good thing to see from U.S. soccer.
And there's the discussion, and you mentioned the mess that is Chelsea. And
no offense to full offense to any Chelsea fans, but yeah, y'all are a mess.
As the Arsenal fan.
Arsenal fan.
Yes. Yeah, as he gets ready for the Premier League season.
Today, John.
Yeah.
Happy Premier League opening day.
I know, and we'll be getting into that after 9:45. Michael Parker's joining us at the bottom of the hour for a little bit.
At least Manchester United have a chance now that Fulham's lost their best fullback or center back.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's it is the palace intrigue of the Premier League. We'll be getting into that. It is a situation. Then we got into it yesterday that once again defies logic. Ergo, Bowley, Clearlake, and Chelsea go right to the front of the line. It seems that Mauricio Pochettino cannot take a new gig because he is still owed money by Chelsea. And usually it's the other way around. It's like if I owe money, or if I don't want money that's on my contract, then we'll have billable hours and we'll talk about it. But because of the money that is owed, however much it is, he still can't take a gig. And it's like, look, I've got a gig right here. Look, here. It is the fisherman in the Geico ad with the dollar bill that's stuck on the the fishing line. Oh, got $1. Oh, you just missed. It's one of the,
I know
literally
exactly which one you're talking about.
that's where we are right now. It's like, look, let him go. I feel like there should be a chant somewhere on the East Coast of the United States. All the U.S. soccer fans should just line up on the Eastern Seaboard and just go, let him go. Let him go. And that way, just figure it out, man. The fact that he's owed money and can't take a gig, it's a unique situation. I'd love to be in that kind of a gig where I'm owed money and can't go anywhere to my new gig that I want. But right now, it's a holding pattern, I'm sure, that's driving folks crazy. But, taking Emma Hayes from Chelsea while she was still employed, and then Mauricio Pochettino from Chelsea while he still owed money. It says great for what Bowley Clear Lake is able to do when it comes to bringing in individuals. But when it comes to the stuff on the field, it's an entirely different matter. When we'll be optimistic here. We'll be optimistic when Mauricio Pochettino takes over for the USMNT. How different do you anticipate it being with him in charge, whether it's personnel, rosters, those kinds of philosophical things? How different are you looking at it here?
Well, first off, we need the great American Todd Bowley to do us a favor and just cut that check.
Bruh. Cut the check.
Because to Roper's point, we do need him by September. And the reports I've seen have been kind of mixed of if he'll actually coach. I mean, originally, I think, not even a week ago, U.S. Soccer kind of hinted that it's okay if it takes longer than getting him in right before the September window. I disagree. I think we need to get him in as soon as possible. But the fact is, John, that I don't think you're going to see a whole different. It's not like we're going to run 23 new guys out there. The reality is this U.S. soccer program has about 15 guys who ain't going nowhere, possibly 18, possibly 20. That's just the reality of our player pool, that while we have a lot of talent in the pool right now, and while there are plenty of guys who are playing in Europe, that isn't enough anymore.
Yeah.
And your standard does have to be higher. And the reality is that the guys who we saw, for the most part, starting in Copa America are the best players we could put out on the field. Now, that said, I think Poch will probably want to find some of those backup depth pieces, maybe expand who he trusts a little bit more, because was the issue with Berhalter, is he kind of felt like he had, a small handful of guys who he truly trusted and wanted to keep at all cost. That will definitely change. There are certain positions where I think maybe you're looking at, okay, what does this mean for me? Tyler Adams may be still, recovering from back surgery, but he's a guy where I do wonder if that is someone, if Johnny comes out, has a good season, right? If Tanner Tessman somehow magically becomes a really solid in possession player and becomes a guy who can truly be a ball winner in the midfield in Serie A, those are guys that can possibly leapfrog Tyler Adams. There are a slew of center backs, none of whom are particularly standout, that have a chance to grab at least one, if not two, starting spots. But the reality is there's not a whole lot of other places on the starting 11 that are up for grabs. Even McKinney, he could be sitting without a club, and he's still probably our best, if not second best midfielder.
So then there was another issue that was brought up yesterday, and it had folks in a lather, not all, but some. The idea that Mark Ogden brought up from the four-letter that Mauricio Pochettino, if he so chose, could stay with a base. He could be in Europe, and he didn't have to move to the United States to be the USMNT head coach. If he had business to take care of, like if you're looking at players and things, you could stay in Europe. You could stay locked in there. You didn't have to move. What's your thought on that, considering that most of the dudes in that top 15 to 18 are in Europe, and frankly, it would be cheaper for him to fly from wherever he is, wherever he wants to be, if he's got a house, in London SW3, EG8, than to hop a flight and go check
Yeah.
out a League O match or something.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I were him and I could afford to keep a house of some sort
If I
in
could keep a
either,
flat. If I could keep a
yeah, if
flat.
I could keep a flat in either London or Paris and
Mhm.
over, and I love my city, Atlanta,
Yeah.
I would do so.
Right.
Um, but I think there is some level of like he'll probably have a place here, probably a small condo that U.S. Soccer will probably own, which would
Central
make
Park
sense
West.
for U.S. Soccer.
Yeah.
Um, while staying in Europe, because you're right, the majority of the players are going to be in Europe, and um, the whole point of scouting untapped talent is a lot of other people's jobs until it gets, in theory, is a lot of other people's jobs until it gets to Pochettino's desk, and at that point, sure, he can make a, you know, he can fly back here, but the also thing is, I don't know if you know this, John, but MLS Season Pass on Apple TV works on any device anywhere.
I
So
was not aware of
yeah,
this.
just get the man an iPhone and he'll be able to, or an iPad or something, and he'll be able to watch any MLS game on there. And I'm sure we could find a way to get him some USL games to watch some of that untapped young talent.
Mhm.
So the reality is, yes, for me personally, you need to have the ability to be in Atlanta when we have training camps, because as the National Training Center comes, you're going to need to have that. So I think he will probably spend more time in Atlanta than he's thinking. But good morning, Abby. Uh, he will be spending a lot of time in Europe scouting, mentoring. That's the other thing that I think can be very beneficial to a lot of these players. Mentoring the U.S. men's national team players and getting a better idea of what it is that this team is and can be. Oh, there you go, Bam. Didn't realize USL was on YouTube. Good for them. But as the National Training Center does start coming to actual fruition here in Atlanta, he will need to be at all the training camps, not just the senior team. I want him there at the U20s and 17s so that he can just be watching, right? I need him to be Bobby Bowden high in the tower, watching the actual coaches do their jobs, right?
If we could get a dad gummit out of Mauricio Pochettino, I'd be a happy man.
Well, I was joking the other night, like while I was recording, talking about the U.S. women winning gold. Do you think Emma gets her own golf cart?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that needs to be part of the contract for all coaches.
Absolutely. You get your own golf cart. You could trick it out however you want.
Yeah,
I mean,
trick my cart.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that'd be absolutely epic. And so, topic for your next Soccer for US POD. So, with the training center being built on the south side, where's the condo that they give Mauricio Pochettino?
Mm.
Is it still in Buckhead, or do they do something on the south side for part of renewal on the south side?
Yeah, I don't think it's Buckhead. I wouldn't be surprised if it's honestly
Downtown?
somewhere in downtown. Possibly it's a house in somewhere between College Park and West End. Or, and this is really crazy, Trilith has a collection of homes down there, from what I've been told. It's a little out of my price range, John, but
Yeah. Brother.
that is an option. But I do think the reality is, for me anyway, U.S. Soccer will buy some sort of living abode
Yeah.
here in the city for Poach to live in. I do wonder. I know his children, I'm pretty sure, are, like, grown, but I wonder if he wants a house, if he'll be comfortable in a condo. Obviously, living situations in Europe are very different than here, but I'm wondering what he will be comfortable with. Is it a townhouse? Is it a condo? Is it a the penthouse of a high rise here? We'll see.
So, the key for you and a lot of folks is that he's here, meaning, and once again, operating under the assumption that Chelsea will end up paying. I could see it right now. I literally, I'm just in that kind of a mood on a Friday. I could see it right now where, Bowley, Clear Lake, they're looking. It's like, man, we're looking under the cushions of the couch. All we're finding is couch pizza. We can't find the $10. Look, we got like.
I'm curious how much he's owed. I think that is a question that I do have, as what are we talking about here? Is it Is it a couple? Is it a couple thousand or a couple million? Where are we at?
Is it 7 figures to the left of the
Yes.
decimal? Is it 8?
Yeah.
The deal was from Front Office Sports. They said that Poch would owe 8 figures if he took another Premier League gig, but nothing if he took a national team gig. So we're dealing in the reverse from what we understand, and it's just like, Michael Valverde's like he's hearing 10 plus euro, and it's just like, bruh, cut a check.
Yeah.
It's just this shouldn't be hard, like direct deposit, Western Union, find a pigeon, get something done, man. This shouldn't be all that hard, but billable hours apparently are going to take over.
Yeah, I mean, look, he claims to have a lot of money. Prove that you have a lot of money. What I am interested to see, and I haven't seen any number yet, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen any reporting on this, what that salary could be.
Yeah, I haven't seen
here.
It. Yeah.
I think it's fair to say it will be less because I think we all understand that a national team job does take less physical time, right? And mental time. So you do get paid less. It's just a lower paying job, but I don't think he'll be going much farther down. Yeah. And then, I mean, I know we joked about it, but what does that package look like, right? First off, what does the package look like? So is it, well, you're buying the house, I'm not. Is it you're paying the moving fees? Is it, well, I'm getting a share of, the Volkswagen Fayetteville branch?
Mauricio Pochettino VW dealership. Yeah.
Is it, well, you're giving me a nice stock portfolio with Coca-Cola and all those.
Coca-Cola, Home Depot. Yeah. You get that portfolio?
Is it I get my own Red Bull cooler a la Dana Holgerson? I'm not quite sure what that stuff is because I think those all kind of sweeten that pot. And that's something that, truly the U.S. Soccer Federation and the U.S. as a whole can offer a coach that a lot of countries just purely can't, is the upside financial opportunities. And furthermore, who is chipping in to help pay a salary? Because now, granted, I, as someone who has been a sucker for U.S. soccer for many decades, I'm used to paying a lot of money to go to a game because they think that $65 for a U.S. women's national team friendly against Argentina in Louisville is an appropriate starting point for ticket prices. But that ain't equaling $10 million. Not that you can just pay a coach, right? So I am curious, how much of Arthur Blank's money are they taking? Is it, are there others that we don't know about who are still involved? I mean, seriously, you've got a lot of European club ownership in the U.S., Todd Bowley and others, Texter, you name it. There's a billion. Seems like now one or two in every league. Are you able to get 1 or 2 million from all those guys, from some of the MLS guys, and say, okay, we can put forward 4, but we need to get to 8. Who can help us get there? And also the reality of it being, again, we don't know, but this is a 2-year job. Get us through the World Cup in 2026, the home World Cup. Get us as far as you possibly can. Hopefully we're, playing till the final day. But after that, if he stays, great. But after that, we are looking forward. And maybe Poch is the guy who wants to take us forward. I don't know what his motivations are. It seemed to me that he was the prettiest girl at the prom. He could have picked anyone. And he's picking us, which is like an insane thought. But how long does he actually want to do it? Because that's an interesting point that I've heard kind of talked about is, well, why wasn't a coach like this available 2 years ago or a year and a half ago when we had to rehire Greg Berhalter and our options seemed to be Berhalter or Marsh, who just are not at that level? Well, I think the reality is no one wanted to take the job for 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah.
Now that you're at 2 years, less than 2 years, you're talking about also being able to be done with that job before the 2026 professional seasons begin, right? This seems for Poch, who dealt with PSG, a club where you're never going to win the Champions League because of a curse, because that's what happens when you get in bed with dirty money. And a team in Chelsea that can't get out of its own way. That is an opportunity to kind of rehab not necessarily. I mean, I think he was still really well regarded, but just kind of maybe rehab your own heart and soul a little bit. Because I think international management brings a whole lot more joy into the coaching and playing side because of what you're playing for. And so I'm wondering how much of that goes into his decision too, of like, man, I would enjoy not having the grind of having to be a Chelsea FC manager with a guy who is breathing down my back trying to sign every single player who exists.
Yeah.
And telling me how to play him. So I'm curious about what his motivations are. I'm curious to hear them from his mouth. And I'm also just curious how U.S. Soccer is going to pay for it.
Yes.
I'm not mad at it. But like, I think there are a lot of reasons why he'd want to take it.
You get that NIL deal and you get all that figured out. Berhalter published reports made 2.29. And you would anticipate that Mauricio Pochettino would probably be making a lot more than that. But then you sit there, you take that top line number, you add in all the perks, you add in all the NIL, you add in all of the stuff. It's like, well, if we give you, say, this, and then you get all of this stuff added on to where you don't have to worry about basic living arrangements and existence, and you get a fun 401k package involving Home Depot and Coke stock or whatever, There's. I think this is probably going to be a very three-dimensional contract, for lack of a better way to phrase it, to bring him in under the umbrella when Todd Boehly finally does cut the check.
And again, I think that's the benefit, the main selling point that U.S. Soccer has is look at all of our partners who are based here in the U.S. and how we can set you up with financial investments, that 401k, your Roth IRA, whatever it is you're contributing to as U.S. Soccer for them. It does beat out a lot of other countries. I mean, if he was not going to be coaching in England, which granted, I think he could have if he really wanted to.
Oh yeah.
If he made his name known to Manchester United, I think they would have said, okay, well, bye, Eric, we're bringing in Poch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you even a lot of the, wealthy countries in England, France, Germany, they can't offer what the U.S. is able to offer in terms of those types of financial deals.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think U.S. Soccer, I'm hoping, is playing into and realizing. And part of that is, give them a good NIL deal. Give them the Nick Saban treatment.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll see you Bulldog Kia. Maybe it's, we'll see you Poch Kia. I don't know.
Mauricio Pochettino Kia. Looking forward to it. You back with us on Monday?
I am. I have a episode dropping today, recorded last night with Greg from For the Culture United and Ebony from, she does a lot of things, but a lot of Shea Butter and Diaspora and all those. So we were, I'm going to tell you right now, John, you got to put that explicit label on this one because we were celebratory and we were not holding back.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. All right.
No, because we won a 5th gold medal and people need to remember that we got a 5th gold medal.
There you go, brother. All right. So looking for another Soccer for US POD. We'll catch up with you on Monday morning.
Cheers, y'all.